Good evening. He has looked an increasingly isolated leader, President Putin, now with an arrest warrant against him for alleged war crimes in Ukraine. So it's easy to see why a rare visit from a supposed dear friend warranted the full red carpet reception in Russia. For his part, President Xi of China has his own reasons to make a bold move on the world stage. In front of the cameras, he wants to paint himself as a global mediator and a promoter of peace. Behind closed doors, quite how far Moscow and Beijing will go in what they call their no-limits friendship is not yet clear. But the sight of both men warmly shaking hands seemed a clear message of Eastern alliance, of Eastern's defiance even, against a common adversary in the West.
From his eager handshake to the smile which hardly left his face, this state visit provides a huge morale boost for President Putin, just days after a warrant was issued for his arrest. President Xi knows he will be seen to support an alleged war criminal, but this is a calculated show of solidarity. Xi Jinping claims to be on a mission for peace, ready to use his leverage with Russia to help broker a deal in Ukraine. President Putin confirmed the two men will discuss Beijing's proposal.
Мы внимательно ознакомились с вашими предложениями по урегулированию острого кризиса на Украине. Конечно, у нас будет возможность обсудить этот вопрос.
Xi didn't raise the topic of peace in this first meeting. He spoke of justice and of economic development.
我们愿意中俄之间的这种战略伙伴关系一方面的话呢，维护国际公平正义一方面呢，促进我们的国家的共同发展。
With a wry laugh, President Putin admitted to being somewhat jealous of China's growth.
Мы даже немножко вам завидуем.
On Sunday, the Russian president made his first visit to the Donbass region, illegally annexed in September. His nighttime tour of occupied Mariupol was staged to highlight efforts to rebuild the city without showing the destruction his bombs had inflicted. Moscow's narrative that NATO expansion triggered the war has been echoed by Beijing, but now it appears the Chinese leader is seeking to prevent a drawn-out conflict. Having recently brokered a diplomatic solution between Iran and Saudi Arabia, China has gained confidence in its global authority. The United States said it welcomed any genuine effort to end the war that would protect Ukrainian territory.
One party to this conflict, Ukraine, has already put forward a just peace formula. If China is committed to supporting an end to the war, based on the principles of the UN Charter, as called for in point 1 of its plan, it can engage with President Zelensky and Ukraine on that basis and use its influence to compel Moscow to pull back its forces.
President Xi still hasn't spoken to President Zelensky. The Ukrainian leader will be watching the pomp and ceremony of this visit very closely. China's credibility as a peacemaker depends on whether Xi Jinping reaches out to the other side in Kyiv.
And Debbie's in Beijing tonight. And Debbie, how realistic that whatever Xi proposes could actually reach any sort of deal, do you think? And what is the broader significance of this meeting?
Well, the peace plan put forward by China calls for a ceasefire and dialogue between the two sides, but it doesn't address Russia's occupation of Ukrainian territory. And it was clear from President Putin's tour of the occupied Donbass on Sunday that he is unlikely to give up his illegally gained ground. President Zelensky has said he will only enter into peace talks if Russia withdraws its troops, including from Crimea, which it seized in 2014. So even if President Xi does make that call to Kyiv in the days following his Moscow visit, the prospect of a peace deal seems doubtful, at least in the short term. But even this attempt at intervention will give China the opportunity to seize the moral high ground. It can raise its 12-point peace plan and say, well, you can't accuse us of not not trying. This state visit for President Putin will demonstrate Xi's commitment to Moscow, and it will be played out to a domestic audience as support for his special military operation. For President Xi, this visit is a chance to project his growing global influence and what he describes and he believes is China's growing powerful role on the world stage.
OK, Debbie, thank you. It'll be fascinating to see what emerges tomorrow. Thank you very much indeed for that.